Wake up, sleepers. It's time for another broadcast from your favorite Sharmat Dagoth. Today I'm going to share with you a little story about the time I tried to rid Vardenfell of the cliff racer menace. It all started one Turtis morning. It was the year 700 of the First Era. My memory of this is a bit hazy, but I recall I had gotten into a disagreement with some of my Chimer pals. One thing led to another, and I end up taking the nap of my life. So long, in fact, that when I awoke, it was now a good 800 years into the very next era. My back was killing me. Not only that, but the strangest thing happened. Before my extended nap, I had beautiful golden Chimer skin. However, when I awoke, I was all gray. I'm not sure if you've ever gone to sleep and woken up as a literal different race before, but I can tell you it is a most disturbing experience. So I get up and try to find myself a mirror to see what's up. Of course, there are none around, so my next best bet is to find a lake or river and look there. So off I go. It's a foggy morning as usual, but the air is warm and I'm enjoying the feeling of stretching my legs after such a long slumber. After a bit of a hike, I go around one last corner, and there it is, the shores of Lake Navia. I pause and take in the view. Okay, let's go and see what's going on with my face, I think to myself. As I am about to make my way to the shore, I hear it. Faint at first, the unmistakable cry of the menace of Vardenfell, the cliff racer. Now I know I like to rag on people for coming unprepared, but in my defense, you know that groggy feeling when you oversleep by a few hours? Yeah. Well, imagine how I felt oversleeping by a few millennia, not to mention the distress of my spontaneous race change. And at that time, I had no idea why or how this had happened. So, I'm not thinking very clearly. Now, if not for these impairments, make no mistake, I could destroy even 1,000 cliff racers with but a wave of my hand. However, before I could get my head together, they were upon me, and then darkness. This is the end for Vorin, you are probably thinking. What a fool you are. I'm a god. How can you kill a god? How can you be so naive? Of course, no cliff racer, no matter the number, could truly destroy me. However, I do reawaken at the heart chamber. I must admit, the whole situation was rather embarrassing. A god, beaten by a winged rat. I needed revenge, and not just on the cliff racers that played a direct role. No. This revenge must be absolute. I intended to lay waste to their entire species for this desecration. I would get my revenge on the vermin that shamed me and do a service to the people of Vardenfell, thus winning the hearts and minds of the people for my upcoming political campaign. It was a perfect plan. Now, hunting down each and every cliff racer by myself would have taken too long and be too tedious. No, I needed a more widespread solution. And so with a bit of divine magic, I concocted the plan. The idea was simple. Create a disease that would infect each and every cliff racer and eventually wipe them out from Vardenfell. I would use my divine power to carry this gift across Vardenfell on ash storms. Well, that was the idea anyway. So look, I admit it, I didn't exactly have the level of alchemy or destruction skill I have now. And before I knew it, other creatures and people were getting sick, dubbing it the Blight. So I went back to the drawing board and attempted to tweak the recipe so it would only affect the intended target. But to my disappointment, this too failed. 4 attempts later, and I still could not come up with an iteration that would specifically target cliff racers. At this point, people were kind of getting angry at me. Red Mountain became a quarantine zone, and a huge fence was erected to enforce it. My hopes of winning the love of the people by ridding them of the cliff racers was dying. But I still had a few tricks up my sleeve. I needed people to know I really was trying to help them, but perhaps I was coming at this the wrong way. Then it came to me. I started work on a 5th iteration. You may be familiar with this ailment. It begins with the letter C. Wait, what? No, not that one. I am speaking of corpus disease. Not only would I be able to commune with those who contracted this divine gift so they knew I meant well, but I could also give them strength and enlist them to help me destroy this scourge. It mostly worked, although once again I could not get them to specifically hunt cliff racers, although I must admit this did bolster the 6th house's numbers and was overall rather handy. Now there was a long period where I was trying to perfect corpus. in a way that it would finally compel those under its effect to kill all cliff racers. I was on the very verge of cracking the code, and then... Oh, it pains me to even think about this fucking guy named Gia comes out of nowhere and single-handedly hunts down every cliff racer in a matter of years. I mean, I've ran the numbers with breeding rates and how long it would take to find each cliff racer. This should be impossible. It makes no sense. This is the stupidest brute force way to do it. And yet he somehow pulls it off and robs me of my life's work and chance at revenge, while also making me seem like the bad guy in all of this. And then, to top it all off, they make him a saint. A saint, for God's sake, that fetching swin. Between you and me, I've had a word with my contacts in the Deadlands, and he'll get what is coming to him if he ever winds up in Kvatch in a few years. Damn it all, it was supposed to have been Saint Vorin the Eradicator, not him. But at the end of the day, it wasn't all bad, I guess. It did result in me creating the means to broadcast my divine power through the blight winds and use it to liberate the people of Vardenfell through its touch, and even broadcast this video through it to you now. And that is the story of how I was cheated by Gia, and how the Blight Storms came to be. How ironic that name is when it was originally made to get rid of Vardenfell's real blight. The Cliff Racer. Such a shame. But anyway, thank you for listening, and as your lord, I compel you to like, subscribe, and write your praises to the house unmourned in the comments below. And remember, always keep your ash statues by your bed. This is Dagoth and I'm Dagoth out.